Hello, for this project today, I have some black clay. I have interference violet mica powder, duo red blue mica powder, and you could use eyeshadow, and you don't really have to have two different colors. I bought this last year during Halloween, I think at the dollar store, and it was a necklace with bones and skeletons, and I simply took my wire cutters and I just cut a skull off of this necklace to use for this project. So there we are, a little skull. So you need a skull or a spider or whatever, a bat or whatever you want to put in the center of your flower. I have a skeleton key, a couple of pieces of round 20 gauge silver wire. It doesn't have to be round, it doesn't have to be silver, really doesn't have to be 20 gauge. You could use like an 18 gauge. I don't know, I think they're like 4 and 3 inches. It really doesn't matter. We're not going to use that much. I have a paintbrush, and I have some faux leather or suede cord. I believe I got this on eBay, and I cut a rather long section, like, I don't know, 35 inches or so, because we're going to use slider knots on it. So make it longer than you normally would. It's not going to be a clasp to slip over your head, but of course you could make it with a chain and a clasp if you want. I have a wire cutter, a couple of chain nose pliers, and a round nose pliers. And I believe that's all we need. So get your supplies together and I'll meet you back. I'm going to begin this project with my 20 gauge wire and my chain nose plier. And I am just going to zigzag this piece of wire. You can make it any shape you want. You could just make it a spiral or a square or whatever you want to do. I'm just zigzagging my way down this piece of 20 gauge wire. And you just do this any way that you want. Okay, now I am going to fold this in together. And bring this piece of wire up. Then down. And back up again. Okay, so now we have our texturing tool for our clay. So let's get our clay and move on. Okay, for this project, we are going to need 6 small petals, 6 medium petals, and 6 large petals. And they're all made exactly the same way. The size just depends on how much clay we use. So I'm going to start by making a base for my leaves. I'm just going to take a piece of clay, roll it into a ball, and then flatten it out. Now, the size for my base depends on the size of the skull or whatever I'm going to press down in the center. And I have a little tiny skull, so that's going to work well for me. Now for each of our little petals, we're going to make them all exactly the same, just different sizes. We're going to roll it into a ball, and then we're going to roll just one side to start a teardrop shape, and squeeze, and then using our texturing tool, give it some texture. I don't know if you can see that texture, but you will once we put the mica powder on. What we're going to start with is 6 of the medium-sized petals, and we're just going to place them all around this circle. So once I get 6 made and I get them all the way around my circle, I'll come back. Okay, I have all 6 of my medium petals on my base, and as you can see, they're different shapes, different sizes. I don't really think that matters for this project. I'm just working on a piece of wax paper, and I have this red-blue mica powder and my paintbrush, and I am just going to brush my petals. With this red-blue mica powder. I don't know why they call it that. I really don't see any red. Well, I guess kind of, until you actually brush it on, and then it's not really red anymore. Alright, so we have that on. Now we're going to do the small petals. Let's get a piece of clay and make our small petal. Give it texture, just like before. And now when we lay these down, we're going to lay them between these petals that we already have. So they will go in between each of our petals. Okay, so go ahead and put all your small ones on, and then I will come back. Okay, I have all of my small petals on now. And I'm working back on the wax sheet again. And I have Interference Violet mica powder that I am going to brush onto these small leaves, or petals. Now, let's take our skull, or whatever you're pressing down the center of your Halloween flower. And this is the interesting part. I a lot of times don't get this lined up nicely. Really don't want it like that. Not that it matters, really. Okay, so put it where we want it, and now we're going to press it. And the leaves are going to do all kinds of, why do I keep calling them leaves? The petals are going to do all kinds of funky, weird things, but that's fine. Makes it interesting. Alright, so there he is, all pressed in. Now we're going to make our large leaves. Let's pull off a piece of clay and make it the way we made the rest. And give it some texture. might be too large, I'm not sure. No, maybe not. Okay, now this time we are going to, well, we're going to try to separate our piece from the table. There we go. Now this time we're attaching these to the back and in between the petals that we have already. Just going to press that in. Let me turn it around and make sure, you know, that it's where I want it. And that's good. So we're going to do that all the way around. Pressing these large leaves all the way around on the back of our work. And then I'll meet you back. Okay, I have my large petals all around my flower now. So we're going to, I think I'm going to do interference purple again. So it's purple, blue, purple. Let's go ahead and put the mica on here, on these big leaves. Oh my goodness, on these big petals. Now I didn't put mica on the back of this piece, but of course you could if you wanted to. Okay, get that done and we'll meet back. Now using my other piece of 20 gauge wire, I am just going to make a fairly large wrapped loop. Okay, I'll hold on to it with my pliers and just give it a couple wraps. This wire looks like it has some kind of damage, but I just got it off the spool, so I don't know what went on there. But this is a Halloween project, so okay, I'm going to cut off this piece. If you have your wire cutters, watch your eyes. Okay, we're going to squeeze this bit down that we just cut. Now we're going to get a piece of clay. And we're going to roll it into a ball, just like before, and squeeze it into a circle, just like before. I'm going to flip this flower over. Now I'm going to place my piece of wire. I need it to go this way. Onto this little ball of clay. Okay. And now I'm going to try to make sure that I have it in the right place. I am going to press it into the back of our flower. First I'm going to check to make sure I have it fairly where it's supposed to be. And now just give it some pressing. Get it in there nicely. Make sure that it's making contact everywhere. Okay, now let's leave it like that. Now on the front here, you can curl these little flower petals down or up, or however you want to do it before we bake it. But I'm okay with the way mine is right now. So I'm going to pop out this little skull the best I can without destroying too much of what I've done. They don't really come out very easily. But it's just a cheap dollar store item, and I'm afraid if I bake it, it will melt. So I'm going to remove it. Fix my petals. You can re-mica if you want in places. Fix your petals to be the way they want before you throw this in the oven. And once you're satisfied, go ahead and bake it according to your polymer clay directions on your package. And once we get mine baked and yours baked, we will meet back here. Okay, my piece is baked and ready to be finished. So we're going to flip this over, and using some chain nose pliers, we're just going to make a simple loop. I want mine right about there. Make a bend, cut off the excess, and we're just doing a simple loop here. I don't know if I said that or not. You could do it wrapped if you want, but I just need a simple little loop. There we go. Now I'm going to use my round nose plier to start my loop, and then I guess it is time to put our key on. Make sure that that key stays within that loop when you finish it up. And it didn't. Did not stay in the loop. Got it this time. So really making my loop wonky, but that's okay. So we have the key attached. And now, I don't know where mine is, but put some E6000 down in your flour. Place your skull back in. Okay, now we are just going to push our cord through this wrapped loop that we made earlier, and we're just going to make a simple sliding knot. I mean, you could use whatever you want. You could use a chain to do this, or to make your necklace, or something pre-made, but I'm just going to do it this way. So we're just going to make an adjustable sliding knot. So we're going to make a circle, and then we're just going to come through that circle and pull it tight. Now you could put a bead on here if you want, and then do the same thing on the other side. And I'm sure there's probably a lot more better videos on how to do this if you look. But this is how I do it. Okay, so now we can adjust the size of our necklace to make it the length that we want. And we're all done. A cute little Halloween flower necklace with skull. You could put maybe a spider or something in there. Now I made one earlier using copper mica powder and a little antique bronze key. I haven't put a necklace on this one yet. But there it is with copper, and that's the same color throughout. Copper mica powder on all of it. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you will make some of these for Halloween or whatever occasion you want.